to make sure that more women, especially young women, are involved in government and leadership roles. Because who needs more women in government? Everyone.
My name is Terry Sewell, and I'm running for Congress in Alabama's 7th Congressional District. If elected, I'll be the first woman ever elected to serve in Congress from the state of Alabama. As the first black woman partner of a large firm in Birmingham, Alabama, I know how important diversity is at the decision-making table, especially in states where the rights of women and the underserved are under attack. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
And I'm running for U.S. Congress in New Hampshire's 2nd Congressional District. My mother, Susan McLean, was a founder of the Women's Campaign Forum. She ran as a candidate for Congress in 1980, and she was a pioneer in politics. Today, I'm proud to follow in her footsteps as part of a new generation of women leaders who will fight for reproductive health choices and equal representation within our lifetime. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Ohio Secretary of State Jennifer Brunner, and I'm running to become the first woman elected to the United States Senate from Ohio. I believe Ohio and the nation want public servants who demonstrate courage, commitment, and compassion. I will win my election to be Ohio's first woman senator by blazing a new trail that encourages more women to run and win. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Crystal Ball, and I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 1st District. Every day, I see the scorched earth of our political landscape, the damage caused by too much ego that would not exist if women were properly represented. In the future, I see a country where my daughter has an equal voice in our society. I know today, women all over the country are ready to step up and make it happen. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Christy Hefner, and as the former chairman and CEO of Playboy Enterprises, I was the longest-serving female CEO of a public company in U.S. history. I know that the success of women in the public and private sectors are inextricably linked. Women legislators champion anti-discrimination laws, and they serve as inspirations for women. Already, more people today work in women-owned companies than in the Fortune 500. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
Okay. Can we go to the end of Susan's then? Susan's would be, committed women leaders will ensure that all the nation's children have what's needed for their survival and success. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Kim Hampton, former WNBA player and so much more. I'm standing in for Donna Orender, the president of the Women's National Basketball Association. We both grew up playing basketball and idolized the male players because there wasn't a professional league for women. Now we speak to young athletes all over the world who tell us that their basketball idols are now WNBA players. From sports to business to elected office, we know how vital and important it is that young women have role models to show them that their dreams are possible. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
My name is Barbara Lee, and I am the founder and president of the Barbara Lee Family Foundation. And for the past 10 years, I've been working to elect women governors. Why governors? Because governors are the pipeline to the presidency. We have elected 31 governors in the entire history of the United States. Compare that to 2,317 men. Also, of the 13,000 members of Congress, only 2% have been women. Who needs women in government? Everyone.
I'm Carrie Healy,
former Lieutenant Governor of Massachusetts and co-chair of the Political Parity Project, standing in today for Ambassador Swanee Hunt. In Swanee's words, "I dream of a country where half of all the political offices are held by women. Women who collectively add a broader perspective, who inspire collaboration, and who shape a stronger, more just society. Because we need 100% of America's talent." Who needs more women in government? You.
Let's do that one last time and like huge on that last mantra. Okay, just the lead in line, Carrie.
Okay. Because we need 100% of America's talent. Who needs more women in government? You.
Okay, stay right where you are. Sorry, move forward. Gently, the lights move at this point. Gently come, the lights will go down and start coming off the ladders. Stay right where you are at the bottom of the ladders so that we're going to do this again with lights. So pretend the lights are down. Stay right there.
We are here. The United States is ranked 74th in the number of women in its national legislature. We are behind Afghanistan and Cuba. U.S. Congress, arguably the most powerful legislative body in the world, is only 17% women. In the aftermath of Stupak Pitts and the Nelson Amendments, I say to you, do we need more women in government? And then I get everyone to say yes, right? Yes. Yes. You guys say yes for me. Say yes. Yes. And then I say, a little louder, please. Yes. And now, let's tell the story. Lights down.
I think she said.
They don't go fast like
Christine can start, so there's like a weird pause.
Correct.
So let's tell the story.
Carrie, should I can the Afghanistan one?
No, it's fine. It's just a quote, so it's all like it's virtue.
And you should move
Okay.
My name is.
Now do I start?
Yes, you start. As soon as you feel the lights really.
As soon as the lights are up, okay. My name is Debbie Walsh. I'm the director of the Center for American Women and Politics at Rutgers University. Every day, I am reminded of how abysmal women's representation in our government truly is. Our country ranks 74th in the world for the percentage of women serving in its national legislature. Women, oh my goodness, I had a sudden blank there, okay. Women hold just 17% of all the seats in Congress, 24% in state legislatures, and just 6 of the governor's seats. This isn't just a shame, it's a waste of talent. Who needs more women in government? Everybody.
My name is Jennifer Lawless. I ran for Congress, wrote 2 books about the obstacles women face when they enter the electoral arena, and now serve as the director of the Women in Politics Institute at American University. Even among highly successful professionals, women are 1/3 less likely than men to consider running for office, 1/3 less likely actually to run, and 1/3 less likely to consider themselves qualified to run. This ambition gap is the direct cause for women's underrepresentation in politics. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
Journalist and author of The American Behind the New Deal. Frances Perkins, the first female cabinet member, was the most successful progressive, male or female, in American history. She was the architect and champion of Social Security, unemployment, insurance, and the minimum wage. 3 things that are vitally important to Americans today as we face yet another great economic downturn. Frances Perkins should serve us all as a mentor. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Avis Jones DeWeaver, Director of the Research and Policy Division of the National Council of Negro Women. I stand in the footsteps of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, who went door to door to raise money to pay poll taxes, who also held night classes to prepare others to pass literacy tests, and who refused to back down, even when faced with the threat of Klan violence, in order to make sure that African Americans could exercise their right to vote. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Liz Schuler, Secretary Treasurer and Chief Financial Officer of the AFL-CIO, representing 11.5 million union men and women. Countless union women everywhere have fought in the streets, in the workplace, and in the halls of Congress for rights like Social Security, workplace safety, equal pay, and more. Working women's values are at this country's core. And every Friday, I thank the labor movement for bringing us the weekend. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Stephanie Hausner, Town Council Member of Clarkstown, New York. I decided to run for this position because a friend asked me to run for office through WCF's She Should Run program. Being a 25-year-old female, my biggest challenge is to be taken seriously. As an elected official, I find it is my responsibility to make sure that women, especially young women, are represented in government and leadership roles. Because who needs more women in government? Everyone.
My name is Terry Sewell, and I'm running for Congress in Alabama's 7th Congressional District. And when I'm elected, I will be the first Congresswoman from Alabama. As the first African American female attorney partner at my law firm in Birmingham, I know how important it is to have diversity at the decision-making table, and especially in states where the rights of women and the underserved are under attack. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Ann McLean Custer, and I'm running for the U.S. Congress in New Hampshire's 2nd District. My mother, Susan McLean, was a founder of the Women's Campaign Forum, a candidate for Congress in 1980, and a pioneer for women in politics. Today, I'm proud to follow in her footsteps as part of a new generation of American women who will fight for reproductive health choices and equal representation within our lifetime. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Ohio Secretary of State Jennifer Brunner, and I'm running to be the first woman elected to the U.S. Senate from Ohio. I believe that Ohio and the nation want public servants who demonstrate courage, commitment, and compassion. I will win my election to be Ohio's first woman senator by blazing a new trail that encourages more women to run and win. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Crystal Ball, and I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 1st District. Every day, I see the scorched earth of our political landscape, the damage caused by too much ego that would not be the case if women were properly represented. In the future, I see a country where my daughter's voice is equally represented. Today, I know that women all over the country are ready to step up and make it happen. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
My name is Christy Hefner, and as the former Chief Executive Officer of Playboy Enterprises, I was the longest-serving female CEO of a public company in U.S. history. I know the success of women in the public and private sectors is inextricably linked. Women in government champion anti-discrimination laws and serve as an important inspiration. Already today, more people are employed by women-owned businesses than the Fortune 500. So who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Susan Taylor, Editor-in-Chief Emeritus of Essence Magazine and founder of the National Cares Mentoring Movement, a network of mentor recruitment circles in 56 cities throughout the nation, trying to win a war between education and catastrophe for black children. Female elected officials are essential allies in fighting for underserved communities. Committed women leaders will ensure that all the nation's children have what's needed for survival and success. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Kim Hampton, former WNBA legend, and so much more. I should have boxed that one. Okay. Can I have my cue again, please? I promise I won't do that.
Committed women leaders will ensure that all the nation's children have what's needed for their survival and success. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Kim Hampton, former WNBA player, and so much more. I'm standing in for Donna Orender, the president of the Women's National Basketball Association. We both grew up playing basketball and idolized the male players because there wasn't a professional league for women. Now we speak to young athletes everywhere who tell us that their basketball idols are WNBA players. From sports to business to elected office, we know firsthand how vital it is for young women to have role models to show them that their dreams are possible. So, who needs more women in government? Everyone.
My name is Barbara Lee, and I am the founder and president of the Barbara Lee Family Foundation, and I have been working to elect women governors for the past 10 years. Governors? Why governors? Because governors are the pipeline to the presidency. In the entire history of the United States, we have had 31 women governors. Compare that to 2,317 men. Also, women represent only 2% of the people who have served in Congress. That means 2% out of 13,000 members. Sorry about that. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Carrie Healy, former Lieutenant Governor of Massachusetts and co-chair of the Political Parity Project, standing in for Swanee Hunt. In Ambassador Hunt's words, I dream of a country where half of all political offices are held by women. Women who collectively add a broader perspective, inspire collaboration, and shape a stronger, more just society. Because we need 100% of America's talent. Who needs more women in government? You.
Christy, all right, so what I want to do is, I just realized we're going to get a call. So stay there. Are we going to black on the ladder?
Thunderous,
Oh, girl, you know you're used to it.
Right?
Exactly. I have to go down.
Just the ladder. Just the ladder down and leave the rest of the house up. There we go. Okay, ladies. And a spot will come up on you automatically, Sam. Okay.
And she didn't come hear my talk?
Well, she was rehearsing. She's on the ladder. No.
I heard your presentation. Oh, thank you. I do pack.
Running for president.
I think we're having dinner together tonight. We're at dinner 5.
I'm at 2 dinners, 5 and 13.
So we're at 5. So I read about you.
Going to his EFL state fed convention. Louisiana.
Here, well, good luck.
Ha 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 ha!
not ready for a break, right? Find out what she's done in the last 2 weeks.
Well, I had some great things today. I'm getting up on a ladder. What? I know. Well, like now everyone knows.
You have insurance?
I feel like I climb the ladder. I want to be safe.
Are you climbing? Okay, so does it mean that she think that over there in the distance and one go? Yeah, these are.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you say ya-ya? Who has seen that new play about the guy from Lagos, Nigeria? Can you say ya-ya? Okay, ya-ya. I am ya-ya. You are ya-ya. Okay, great. Thank you for coming and welcome to the Women Campaign Forum's 30th Annual Parties of Your Choice Gala. The Women's Campaign Forum and the Women's Campaign Forum Foundation, a 501c4 and c3 respectively, has the dubious distinction of having me chair both boards. I have to pinch myself when I realize I get to be around such an amazing group of women, but I do think my election has been highly dilutive. I'd like to start by thanking Christie's. We've been here for several years at Christie's, and it's a magnificent space. It's a magnet here in Midtown. It's a venerable brand, and I'd like to start by bringing up Eleanor Notides to come from Christie's and talk to you a little bit about this evening and about Christie's.
Thank you very much, Maggie. I'm embarrassed to say that in all my years at Christie's, this is actually the first time I've stood up on the podium and had Christopher Burge's view, so it's actually quite fun. Although I can see that there's some obstacles with your ladders in the middle. I wanted to, first of all, on behalf of my colleague, Stephen Lash, I'd like to welcome all of you. I'm impressed to see the size of this group, and in talking to Maggie and Wendy, I'm really impressed to hear what you've done over the years. In talking to them, it made me reflect on my years at Christie's and my career in the arts, and I thought that the most interesting, in looking at the number of years you've been operating, 35 years, I haven't been at Christie's quite as long, but I did reflect on when I started at Christie's, and I was actually working for Sotheby's, you know, the competition, and I had been called by David Bathurst, the then president of Christie's, and I was in San Francisco, and he asked me if I'd be interested in a position at Christie's. I said, let's talk about it. I flew to New York only to find that I was interviewed in a situation that they thought I would feel very comfortable in. It was a round table of 12 men, no women. So they went around the table and they each asked me a question, and at the end, David Bathurst looked at me and with a wink said, I think you got the job. So it was very different today. What I did, I talked to the head of our Human Resources Department, who's actually a woman, and I said, you know, it'd be very interesting to know what the statistics are at Christie's. I'm looking back at these 12 men. Today, I'm really proud to say that the women at Christie's outnumber the men. By actually quite a bit. Women at Christie's there are 50% female and 42% male. The women at Christie's are represented by our, sorry, did I say that wrong? 58% female, 42% male. The women at Christie's represent our Chief Operating Officer, our Chief of Human Resources, our Chief Information Officer. In America, the heads of department are held by women, by our legal department, by our finance department, by our operations department, head of private sales, the co-head of the contemporary department, head of our gold committee. which today is represents remarkable progress for women. So I thought that what I also would like to do is just introduce to you three of my colleagues from Christie's who just happen to be women. And I've asked them to come up and just introduce themselves, tell you what they do. They will be around during your event, so if you'd like to stop them and ask them some questions, talk about their experiences at Christie's. And again, welcome to Christie's. And with that, I'd like to introduce Tash Perrin, who is actually herself an auctioneer, much more comfortable up here than I am.
I'm Tash Perrin. I manage the Estates and Appraisals Department for all of you that are interested in having things appraised. Anybody who's interested in selling or buying anything, come and talk to us. Good evening, I'm Maria Loss. I work with many of our top private buyers out of the chairman's office. Welcome, it's wonderful to have you all here.
And we have...
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Jennifer Wright. I'm Christie's Old Masters and 19th century drawing specialist here in New York. I cover the Americas. And I'm proud to say that in December of 2009, our department sold a drawing by Raphael for $47 million, which was the highest price for a work of art at auction that year.
With that, I just want to welcome you again and ask you to, and thank you all for very much for inviting us to speak, and I will hand it back to Maggie. Okay, now I would like to direct your attention to the lovely women in the purple She Should Run t-shirts around the room. Raise your hands. We know that everyone in this room can think of a woman who should consider running for office someday. We need you to give that woman a push. We need you to nominate her. We need you to talk to the women in the purple t-shirts and suggest that a strong, powerful, underutilized, underleveraged woman you know should run. The statistics show that it takes a woman to be asked 6 times to decide whether or not to run for office, which is something that's just slightly different from our male counterparts. Very good. Now, purple t-shirts, raise your hands. Turn around and nominate somebody. All right, we have another favor to ask you. Here's something a little different. Normally when you're, at a show, the opera, whatever, they ask you to put your cell phone away. I'm asking you to take your cell phone out. WCF continues to be on the cutting edge of technology and mobile apps. We have a great new program called WCF TXT. Isn't that sexy? We will keep you informed on all the latest happenings in women, in politics, and reproductive health. So we're going to practice right now. Does everybody have your cell phone out? Yeah, yeah? Yeah, yeah. Are you ready? Here's what we're going to do. And you can also reference this sign over here for those of you that are auditorily challenged. Write the letters WCF in the text space. Everybody got me? Then you're going to send it to this number. Listen up. I want text going out down there. This is good for commerce. The text number is 388873, which also spells out, I love this, future. Isn't that the best? Again, it's 388873. Now hit send. That's it. If you don't have that service, just save the message and hit the send button on your way to dinner. Now I'd like to do the thing I have to do to sort of, regain my confidence after last year. Last year at this time, I was pleased to introduce our brand new CEO, Sam Bennett, whose name I fumbled. Her full Irish regalia name is Siobhan Bennett, which I think I called Sioban, and my entire board gasped at the whole thing and didn't forgive me for about 6 months. They're very mean. But we are just thrilled to have Sam with us. She's been installed, as they say, for over a year. She came to us first last April after running for Congress in Pennsylvania 15. That was her first, she was one of our first national endorsements at that time. We supported her in the early stages of her campaign when no other national organization would do it. Sam is building on the great 36-year-old tradition of WCF and taking us to new levels. She's doing
a phenomenal job. A big round of applause for Sam.
All right, I can tell you're getting rowdy and you want to go to your dinner parties. Do you want to go to your dinner parties? Yeah. Okay, before you get to go to your dinner parties, we have some homework we have to do. Thank you, Maggie, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you for joining us at the 30th Annual New York Dinner Parties of Choice. Yes, 30 years. Now everyone's got to be quiet now. Come on, guys. Come on. Now here's the deal. We have 700 attendees, the biggest number of attendees that we've ever had at the dinner parties. We have 13 parties, 40% more than any previous year, and every single party sold out. What do you guys say to that? When I ran for U.S. Congress in 2008, I got a lot of national endorsements, including the union brothers and sisters, many of whom were in the room, who made a great deal of difference to my race. I was endorsed by Emily's List, DCCC, League of Conservation Voters, J Street, and many more. But not a single endorsement mattered as much in my race for U.S. Congress as Women's Campaign Forum. They endorsed, you can applaud that, you can applaud that. Not only did they endorse me before others would, when I called other organizations about my race, they would say this: "You're not viable. Not yet. Raise some more money. Call us when you got $1 million in the bank." And I called Williams Campaign Forum, and this is what they said: "You're a phenomenal woman leader. Look at your track record. We believe in you. You might not win this time, but hot damn, maybe you'll win next time." And they handed me a check, and they endorsed me. And they invited me to these wonderful New York dinner parties, and some of the people that made the biggest difference in my race I met in this room. And then when I lost, and I lost with honor, of the 40 national endorsements I got one letter in the mail. The letter was from Women's Campaign Forum, and it said this: "You're a great woman leader. Run again." What do you guys say to that? So we are here tonight because we need more women in government. And I am honored to be the president of the oldest organization that works to get women elected in this country in a bipartisan manner. Women that support reproductive choices and options, because guess what? We need reproductive choices and options to be protected on both sides of the aisle if we're serious about all Americans having the right to choose. Are you serious about having all Americans have the right to choose? And do you believe that talented women leaders come from both sides of the aisle? Applaud if you believe that is true. And trust me, I used to be the Democratic Party chair in my neck of the woods, and I think that's true. What makes Women's Campaign Forum so different than everybody else is they invest in the woman, not just the race. They collaborate with other women's groups all the way from White House Project to Progressive Majority to Emerge America and so many more. Because we all must work together to get more women elected. I want to thank a couple people, and then we're going to find out what the heck those ladders are for. I would like to honor and thank the WCF board, and all past board members are here. If WCF board members can please come to the front, right over here in the corner. A round of applause for the WCF board. Right here. Right here, come on guys. Over here, over here, over here. Okay. I would also like to honor and thank the Women's Campaign Forum staff and McAvoy and Associates who put this event on. What do you say to that? I would also like to thank the co-hosts and hosts, and maybe most importantly, the 30 years of hosts and co-hosts that have made these dinner parties possible. Please, a round of applause for our hosts and co-hosts. When you go to your dinner parties, I want you to read your program guide and find out about the amazing people that make our work possible. People like Dane Strother and Leanne Peterson and their texting firm that donated this texting service to us. And if you want to get a cool dress like this is from Carlisle Collection. There's representatives here, and if you buy a dress from them, We get 10% of the proceeds. That's a good deal. Round of applause for Carlisle, please. We're about to find out what the ladders are. We'll be quick. We have a drawing tonight for luxury business class tickets from New York to Paris worth 4,000 smackers. If you would like to be part of that drawing, all you need to do is make sure that you gave us at the leadership circle level. If you haven't yet, the lovely ladies at the check-in will take care of that. There will be another drawing at your dinner. And now to the reason we are here. Drum roll, please. When WCF was founded in 1974, we only had 4% of U.S. Congress as women. But over these 36 years, we have not begun to make enough progress. There are two facts that I argue we need to connect. One of them is this. Our country is ranked lower than Afghanistan and Cuba in the number of women in elected office. And we can draw a direct line between that abysmal fact and the fact that despite having the best hospitals and the best specialists in the world, our country is ranked 36th in the world in the quality of health care delivered to our citizens. I ask you this, do we need more women in government? What do you say? Now, there's a lot of people in this room. I think we can make this a little bit louder, so I'm going to try this again. Do we need more women in government? And now for a group of nationally prominent women who are going to tell the story of why we need more women in government.
Of the Center for American Women and Politics at Rutgers University. Every day I am reminded how abysmally women are represented in our government. Our country is ranked 74th in the world for the percentage of women serving in our national legislature. Women hold only 17% of the seats in Congress, 24% in state legislatures, and just 6 of the governor's seats. This isn't just a shame, it's an enormous waste of talent. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
My name is Jennifer Lawless. I ran for Congress, wrote 2 books about the obstacles women face when they enter the electoral arena, and now serve as the director of the Women in Politics Institute at American University. Even among highly successful professionals, women are 1/3 less likely than men to consider running for office, 1/3 less likely actually to run, and 1/3 less likely to consider themselves qualified to be a candidate. This gender gap in political ambition is the direct cause of women's underrepresentation. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Kirsten Downey, journalist and author of The Woman Behind the New Deal. Frances Perkins, the first female cabinet member, was the most successful progressive, male or female, in American history. She was the architect and champion of Social Security, unemployment insurance, and the minimum wage. 3 things that are vitally important to America today as we face yet another great economic downturn. Frances Perkins should serve as a mentor to us all. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Avis Jones-DeWeaver, the Director of the Research and Policy Division of the National Council of Negro Women. And I stand in the footsteps of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, who actually went door to door to raise money for the payment of poll taxes, held night classes to make sure that others could pass literacy tests, and even pushed back against the threat of Klan violence in order to ensure that African Americans would have the opportunity to exercise their right to vote. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Liz Schuler, Secretary Treasurer and Chief Financial Officer of the AFL-CIO, representing 1.5 million working men and women. Working women all across this country for years have been fighting in the streets, in the workplace, and in the halls of Congress for rights like Social Security, workplace safety, equal pay, and more. Working women's values are at this country's core. And every Friday, I thank the labor movement for bringing us the weekend. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Stephanie Hausner, Town Council member of Clarkstown, New York. I decided to run for this position because a friend asked me to run for office through WCF She Should Run program. Being a 25-year-old female, my biggest challenge is to be taken seriously. As an elected official, I find it is my responsibility to make sure that women, especially young women, are represented in government and leadership roles. Because who needs more women in government? Everyone.
My name is Terry Sewell, and I'm currently running for Congress in Alabama's 7th Congressional District. And when I'm elected, I will be the first woman ever to represent Alabama in the halls of Congress. As the first black woman partner of a major firm in Birmingham, Alabama, I can tell you how important it is to have women decision makers who know about diversity at the table. It's critically important that we not only engage more women in this, but we also engage them in states like Alabama, where the rights of the underserved and women are really at tap. Who needs more women in government?
I'm running for the U.S. Congress in the 2nd Congressional District in New Hampshire. My mother, Susan McLean, was a founder of the Women's Campaign Fund. Back in the 1980, she ran for Congress as a candidate in 1980, and she was a pioneer for women in politics. Today, I am very proud to join these women here in the next generation of leaders that will fight for reproductive health choice and for equal representation in our lifetime. Who needs more women in politics? Everyone.
I'm Ohio Secretary of State Jennifer Brunner, and I'm running to be elected as the first woman United States Senator from Ohio. I believe that Ohio and the nation want public servants who demonstrate courage, commitment, and compassion. When I win my election as the first woman United States Senator from Ohio, I will do it by blazing a new trail that encourages more women to run and to win. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Crystal Ball, and I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 1st Congressional District. When I am elected, I will be the youngest woman ever to serve in U.S. Congress. Every day, I see the scorched earth of our political landscape, the damage wrought by too much ego that would not be the case if women were properly represented. I see a future where my daughter has equal representation in our society. Today, I know women all over the country are ready to step up and make it happen. Who needs more women in government?
My name is Christy Hefner, and as the former Chief Executive Officer of Playboy Enterprises, I was the longest-serving female CEO of a public company in U.S. history. I know from experience that the successes of women in the public and private sectors are inextricably linked. Women in government champion anti-discrimination laws. They serve as inspirational role models for women in the private sector. And already today, there are more people employed by women-owned companies than the Fortune 500. So who needs more women in government? We do.
I'm Susan Taylor. I'm the Editor-in-Chief Emeritus of Essence Magazine and the founder of the National Cares Mentoring Movement. National Cares is a network of 56 committed women and men leading circles, mentor recruitment circles throughout the nation, trying to win this war between education and catastrophe for underserved Black children. It's women elected to office who are compassionate and caring, who will help us advance underserved families. It's the most critical work of our time. Let's make sure we ensure that they move forward. Who needs more women in government? We do.
I'm Kim Hampton, former WNBA player, and so much more. I'm standing in for Donna Orender, the president of the Women's National Basketball Association. We both grew up playing basketball, and we idolized the men because there was no professional league for women. Now, we speak to countless young athletes who tell us daily that WNBA players are their role models. From sports to business to elected office. I know firsthand, we both know firsthand, how important and vital it is to show young women that, or to give young women role models, that they can realize that their role, that their dreams are possible. I promise I don't play basketball like that. That their dreams are possible. So, who needs more women in government? We do!
I'm Barbara Lee, and I am the founder and president of the Barbara Lee Family Foundation, and I have been working to elect women governors for the past 10 years. Why governors? Because governors are the pipeline to the presidency. So, would you believe that in the entire history of our country, only 31 women have ever served as governor? That's compared to 2,317 men. More than that, in Congress, there have been 13,000 people who have served, and only 2% of them have been women. Who needs more women in government? We do!
I'm Carrie Healy, former Lieutenant Governor of Massachusetts and co-chairman of the Political Parity Project. I'm standing in tonight for Ambassador Swanee Hunt. In Swanee's words, I dream of a country where half of all political offices are filled with women. women who collectively add a broader perspective, inspire collaboration, and shape a stronger, more just society. Because we need 100% of America's talent. Who needs more women in government? You.
Performance, it'll be hard to settle down just for a second. And if you thought I was crying up here, I was. When I had the vision of creating this performance piece and having these women co-write this performance piece is on our website, available for everyone from Girl Scout troops to women's Rotaries to perform. So we encourage you to encourage people in your hometowns to perform this piece. Please, another round of applause for these amazing women. Now, we have a couple people we have to recognize, and then we will go to our dinners. Before we start, you tell me, how important is it for a woman to have a supportive spouse when she runs for office? My husband and my daughter who are here, Martin and Rachel. Please give my husband and my daughter a round of applause for putting up for me when I ran for office. Over there. Rachel and Martin. And Charles Nolan, my daughter really does want to meet you. She's over here. Okay, quiet in the house just for a minute. It is my great pleasure to present a very special award to a very special woman. There are few in this country that have dedicated as many years, as much in the way of personal resources, energy, than my dear friend and the woman I report to as my board person, Wendy McKenzie. Please, a round of applause. Maggie, could you present to Wendy? We are naming in perpetuity the WCF Shattered Glass Award forever after Wendy McKenzie. Please, a round of applause. And to announce our first two recipients, Wendy McKenzie herself will come up. Please come up, Wendy.
Wonderful new one-year-old president, and thank you, Marvelous Maggie. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. Yay, Wendy! I often said that the WCF is my third child, and I'm absolutely delighted. But you just have to know a secret, that working with some of the greatest women at the very start of their political careers has been its own reward. And watching women succeed has been a joyous reward for all of us at WCF. However, 17%, it's not good. We have so much more to do, and the two women that we are honoring tonight are setting an example for us all. I'm very proud to be asked to present this award to these two extraordinary women who've devoted their intelligence and their resources to increasing the number of women in public office. First, to wonderful Barbara Lee, whom you just heard from. Barbara is a proven leader. That means she's had results in the effort to promote women's political leadership and powerful participation in our democracy, particularly your wonderful work about women's governance. God bless you. Thank you. What? Sadly, our other awardee, Swanee Hunt, is not able to be with us here tonight, but accepting the award on her behalf is former Massachusetts Lieutenant Governor Carrie Healy. Ambassador Hunt has worked tirelessly to achieve gender parity. You heard a quote from Carrie Healy. She's currently working to dramatically increase the number of women at the highest levels of government in 2010 through the Political Parity Project. Thank you, Healy. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you very much.
Please, another round of applause for these amazing women. Barbara Lee, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Carrie, thank you for accepting. You're an amazing woman in your own right. Thank you, Carrie. And another round of applause for the amazing Wendy McKenzie. Amazing Wendy. Now, before we leave, the most important part of the evening, we have some very special women here. First, I would like to, we have some women we need to introduce. First, I'd like to introduce a congresswoman we all know and love, Nina Lowey from New York 18. Please, a round of applause for Nina. Round of applause. And as I call your name, please come forward. We'd also like, but I must say, we have several women who have very tough real acts that I need each one of you to open up your checkbooks and give money to, who are here with us tonight. From Colorado 4, Betsy Markey. Betsy Markey, please come forward. Right here, come right here, Betsy, come here. Ann Kirkpatrick from Arizona 1, please come forward. I don't know if her train got here yet. Gabrielle Giffords from Arizona 8, is she here? Come on up, come on up. Please a round of applause for Gabrielle. And I know Carolyn Maloney was on her way. I don't know if she arrived. Is Carolyn in yet? She might be going right to her dinner. If she's here, please come forward, Carolyn. I cannot stress enough how important these re-elects are. We all work so hard to get them elected. Will you help get them re-elected? Excuse me? All right. Also with us tonight, we have a number of other elected officials. Please come forward, and if I don't call your name, come forward anyway. All of you, start coming forward. Come on the platform. Yes. Okay. New York City Council Member Gail Brewer, Illinois State Representative Julie Hamas, Houston Mayor Anise Parker, Councilwoman Jessica Lappin from New York 5, Assemblywoman Dee Dee Scalzafava from New York, please come forward. Syracuse, New York Mayor Stephanie Miner, Nassau County, New York District Attorney Kathleen Rice, please come forward. Clarkstown, New York Councilwoman Stephanie Hausner, Missouri State House Representative Stacey Newman, New York State Assemblywoman Deborah Black, Congressman Jerry Nadler, New York City Public Advocate Bill de Blasio, Councilmember Dan Doronic from New York 4, Delaware Governor Jack Markle. Please give them a hand. Stephanie, come forward. All of the officials, please come forward. Please give them a round of applause. All of you, please come forward. Yes. We have a very special thing for you that is absolutely historic. Gotta be quiet just for a second. Are you still on the drum? Can we have a drum? No, she's not here. Okay, we are also very honored this evening to have the two women who are taking on Bart Stupak and Joe Pitts. Lois Turner running against Joe Pitts in PA 16, and Connie Soldenstall running against Bart Stupak in a round of applause. Now, please join me in welcoming the stars of the evening. A few of them are already up here. Please come forward and give them an incredible round of applause. These are the women who, despite all the obstacles, are running for office today and are WCF endorsed candidates. I am proud to announce Crystal Ball running for Congress in Virginia 1, Heather Bevan running for Congress, Florida 7, Jocelyn Benson running for Secretary of State in Michigan, Secretary Jennifer Bruder running for Senate, Ohio, please come forward, Regina Alfera running for State Senate, New York 1, please come checks for these women. Even if you can only write a $5 check, you must write a check. Will you promise me you'll write a check, please? Say yes. Oh, that was lousy. Will you please write a check for these women? That was pretty good. Stay up, ladies. Now, for all of you in the room, as you go to your parties, we'll be having leadership circle briefings here in New York, both April and May. We hope that you join us. We are gathered here this evening because together we can dramatically increase the number of women in elected office, essential to the future of this nation. What say you when I say, when I do this, you gotta say we do, okay? All right. Who needs more women in government? We do. I'm gonna ask you one more time. Who needs more women in government? We do. One more time. Who needs more women in government? We do. Outstanding. Thank you so much, everyone. Please go to your party. Honorees, stay forward for photographs. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
To see the women in Congress take a more active position, because what women do in this country, for this country, can save this country.
Incredibly male-dominated. The audience is about 68% men to 32% women. So women's issues don't get a lot of sympathy. Choice is not important to that group as a community as a whole, so it is really heartening to be here with a group of people dedicated to supporting members, to just supporting politicians, people who are willing to run for office and stand for choice, because that's a hard thing to do right now. You've got the country that is growing ever more anti-choice by the day, so women being elected who are dedicated to reproductive rights is just a wonderful thing. I grew up in the 70s, and my mother was a headhunter, and they used to call her the Barracuda. And when I was on the train today coming up, and I'm getting my luggage and getting everything off, and this woman comes up to me and she goes, "I think you're going to where I'm going, to the campaign, to the dinner." And I said, "Well, yes." And it's my new best friend Edie, who, and I said, "Well, what do you do for a living?" And she goes, "I'm an executive recruitment." And I went, I learned what I do in the movie business, in blogging, by going home at night, and when my friends' mothers were very laudable, wonderful homemakers, and it was much, much harder for women to have careers. My mother was a pioneering headhunter. She used to cry in the bathroom at lunch because they would treat her so mean, and then she'd go back out and she'd just beat everybody. She was amazing, and I used to come home at night and I would hear her 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock on the phone making deals, and that mattered. Like, I got that training very, very young from listening to that. Being around other women, being around strong, capable, professional women can share skills, life skills, and political skills that are very, very, very important. You can't do it in a vacuum. So I really, really want to thank Sam and the entire organization for everything they do to support that, because our rights are being traded away. And I personally have had cancer, breast cancer, 3 times. And I've been fighting it. I know, I said 3 times, she goes, 13!
13, and I'm here.
And, I've been battling it since 1992. And, I don't know what's going to happen to choice in this country. I'm very concerned about it. I know that Democratic Congress is getting ready, as Martha said, to put through a bill with the Nelson language, which NARAL has called outrageous and unacceptable. And I don't know what's going to happen, but all I can tell you is that somebody who engages in politics and fights every day, I'm going to go down fighting over this. Being here, I think you're wonderful, and for supporting women candidates, I think it's fantastic.
Russian.
We have a tradition. Someone asked me how I came to this organization, and I had to say that it was meeting Sam. And if you spend any time with her, you know that she is passionate. Exactly what's at the bottom of this. To some extent, it's money. You know, to run for office takes a lot of money. So it is. If you want the solution to that, you have to figure out a way to make sure that women have enough money to run for office and to really do it up right. And that is, you know, women have a lot of money now. It is putting the money there and saying, as was said earlier tonight, you may not win this time, but it's worth getting you up that road so that the next time you can win. It's an investment. And for the, Philip was talking about the women being quiet. I don't know whether you heard Patrick Kennedy today, beside himself at the failure of the media, mainstream media, to deal with serious issues. That things had gotten so crazily off track. And I think we have to really look at the participation of women in the media, whether or not the media itself will cover women, and I can assure you that there is a discrepancy there. You have two candidates saying essentially the same thing. The man will get the front page of the New York Times, will get network coverage, and the women will be non-existent. So we've made some progress. We've got 2 out of the 3 network anchors. Catherine Bigelow just won the Oscar, you know, for directing. We have Candy Crowley, who has a Sunday morning show, which was always something that bothered me, that all of the serious shows that discussed and determined policy, those Sunday morning shows were anchored by men. So that we have these advances, but what you have to look at is this huge undertow in both politics and media that still excludes women, shuts them out, and as long as that happens, you will find a kind of world that is unsatisfactory to all of us. So I would say to look at them both, to be intertwined, and as you work in the political sphere, to also look at what's happening in the media. And just thank you so much for your commitment, all of you who are here tonight, to this effort to put more women in office. And my granddaughter, who is now 11 months, is available to run for president. And I want you to know, if Kim wins the governorship of Tennessee, it's because New Yorkers helped her. We brought her here in a gypsy cab tonight because that was the only way we could get over here. So.
And the other thing is, it's just too bad there's just not enough women. It's just so great. The ratio is so good tonight. And I hope all the men feel intimidated and kind of small. Yeah, all right, now you watch it. I can do that back. Okay, in any event, thank you so much for coming. And thank you so much for all that you do for the Women's Campaign Forum. And thank you to the Lobes. I think this is their 5th year they've hosted, and for their magnificent home and their generosity. I just want to say a couple words about WCF, as if you haven't heard enough about the damn thing tonight. You know, we are a venture capital fund. That's what we are. We essentially make seed bets on early stage candidates for office. You know, they are high risk bets. We put our bets down on our candidates early in the pipeline. You know, one of our earliest bets was Carolyn Maloney, and that was a bet. That was a bet that had a very high return, and our investors are very happy with that bet. We don't have to have all the bets go that way. Our theory is if you don't win the first race, maybe you'll win the second one. But we are in the business of raising money for our fund every year. Most venture capital funds go out every 5 years and raise money for their new funds. We're raising money every year, and this year more than ever, women incumbents, women candidates are under attack as the sea changes and the wind changes and everything else. You know, women candidates need our help this year more than ever. But one of the things we're the most proud of is Carolyn Maloney. She's been one of our stars. She needs no introduction to any of you, but I just want to do a little name dropping here.
someday I want to be able to start a sentence like this. You know, I just came in from Washington and I had breakfast with Hillary today. That's what I want to be able to say. And I said, Congresswoman, you've got to tell us the story about breakfast and how powerful it was. So, a round of applause for Carolyn.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much to our host and hostess, Marjorie and Michael Loeb, and to Buzzy for this wonderful dinner, and all of you for coming and supporting the Women's Campaign Fund. When I challenged a 14-year incumbent who outspent me 5-1, it was organizations like this that gave you the courage and the support to get out there and feel like you could do it, so you could do it. So I thank you very much for being here. Your support is tremendously important for empowering women and moving women forward. I truly did have breakfast with Hillary Clinton this morning, and I was thinking, it was a small breakfast. It was lots smaller than this. It was roughly 5 women members of Congress and 2 senators, Senator Boxer and Senator Shaheen. And we were just talking about how to empower women in this country and around the world. And we had she's giving an address tomorrow at the United Nations on the 15th anniversary of Beijing Plus 15, where we came forward with the women's platform. And because of the strides of this organization and so many others, I truly do believe that this 21st century is going to be the women's century. The men have had enough. It's our turn to really move forward and gain true equality. We've broken through that glass ceiling. We need to bring everyone else along with us. We're 20% of Congress, not enough, but it has made a difference in women being at the table in Congress, not just the kitchen table, but all the tables, all the policy tables. It's really thrilling. And I've seen the change in my own life. Practically every job that I've ever held, I've been the first woman to hold it, just because the opportunities were not there. And I'm pleased that this year I chair the Joint Economic Committee, and I am the first woman to chair the Joint Economic Committee. But I just want to say what a difference a year makes, or what an election makes, with more women in Congress and with President Obama. The first bill he signed into law was the Lilly Ledbetter Act, moving women to equality. Then he repealed the gag rule. Then he repealed the ban on stem cell research. Then we passed in the House health care. We passed in the House energy steps towards independence. And right before Memorial Day, he signed into law my credit card Bill of Rights. He gave me the pen and a kiss. But all of you got more protections that will help you keep more of your money in your own pockets. The Pew Foundation called it the most important consumer protection bill in decades, and they predict that it will keep in consumers' pockets $10 billion a year by stopping unfair, abusive, and anti-competitive practices. So we're working in many ways. The rest of the day was just as exciting as breakfast. We worked all day on health care and are really trying to move forward and trying to get that passed before we break for Passover and Easter. So it is truly an exciting time to be in America, an exciting time to be in Congress, and it's an exciting time to be with you. You know, Robert Frost said that I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and I think all of us have that. We all have goals of what we want to accomplish and what we want to do. A very great New Yorker, Eleanor Roosevelt, would always end her speeches by saying, "It's up to the women." But I looked back and there were no women in Congress when she was saying this, or very, very few. So she was really empowering women to go out and vote and help like-minded men get elected. But now when you say it's up to the women, it truly is up to the women. You should get out there and run yourself or support candidates as you are today to make that difference and make that change and really move us into the women's century, the 21st century, where we will pass the ERA, we'll pass CETA, pass all these other things, but really through our actions and the great accomplishments of so many women who are here today. Thank you for supporting the Women's Campaign Fund so that we can support candidates like the two that we are honoring tonight. Thank you so much.
There's 13 dinners in New York going on tonight, and last year there were only 9, so we're thrilled that we've had an incredible turnout and the tremendous luck of a chef who's donated his services for the Women's Campaign Forum.
And how did you get involved?
Well, because of my, certainly not through the female aspect, but you know, my mother is so politically active and loves to give to good cause and loves to open her home up. So to be part of it and be able to help out in any way is just so important to us. So.
Okay. We're a long-running family involved in politics. My grandmother was born in 1898. First supported Wendell Willkie, and then Dwight Eisenhower, who was a close friend of, and then every single president thereafter, Nixon, and right up to her death when she was supporting Rudy Giuliani. So I come by it honestly, and it gives me tremendous pleasure to be able to support such an important cause.
And I ride the coattails.
No, this is the 3rd time I've done it. One of the co-hosts, Renee Ring, took me to a dinner 4 years ago, and the following year she said, "You know how much fun you had at that dinner?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "How's about View House one?" I said, "It'll be my pleasure."
What would you like to see in politics?
Well, we would like to see the number of women involved in politics, which at the moment is 17%, rise significantly so that you and I would have our issues recognized and highlighted, and our children would as well. We'd like to see more involvement by women, and the fact that this group is nonpartisan is what's so important, because we need both sides of the aisle to work together if we want to get anywhere.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? I don't have it all.
No, this event is so fun every year for us to host, my mother to throw, and it's a real pleasure.
For many women, they can't just jump in and run for Senate or run for Congress. They need to run for City Council, for a more local position as they build up their career, and that's why WCF is so important. I would also say that a couple interesting statistics, which is that women comprise 52% of our population, yet we only hold 25% of elected office. And to me, really the most shocking statistic is the fact that the United States, 84th among all countries in the
downtown, uptown place. It's just so cool. So I really think this is just wonderful of you to open your home, and for you who supported the Women's Campaign Forum in leadership ways, and for those of you who are here supporting financially, because I think it is just so important. As Scott said, money is everything. I don't think money is everything in politics, but I've got to tell you, it is really, really, really important. And that is one of the things that I'm enjoying about my role in the financial space, is actually trying to get women to own their own financial power, and then to be able to exercise that power in the ways that are important to them, whether it be in philanthropy, whether it be in politics, whatever, so that they can actually support the issues that they care about. I've always loved this group because of the space, because that voice really has not been fully represented, and until we get something that is closer to our portion of the population, I don't think that that voice necessarily will be heard.
This is the second year we're hosting the WCF dinner, and the reason that we're hosting it is because we want to bring important issues, we want to bring politicians to this community and make them understand that this is an issue that affects communities like this one. We've very much invested in this community. We have a restaurant here in Harlem. When it wasn't so fashionable to have a restaurant here, and we've been living here, and we're very much a part of this community where we understand the struggles that the women face. The struggle the women face in this community are double, triple, quadruple the ones that people face in other parts of the country. And Harlem is really part of Manhattan.
So did it make it easier tonight that your husband is the chef?
Well, my husband cooks for me every night.
That's not true.
So, you know, it doesn't get much better, does it?
So it's for me it's a pleasure to cook for this event.
So what did you prepare tonight?
Tonight we had a risotto with lemon and rosemary. We had chicken rolls with spinach. We had asparagus with egg sauce, and we also had a salad. And then we had a fish, which was a branzino oven baked with vegetables.
This is a preview of our spring menu at the restaurant.
And are you looking forward to hosting more WCF events? This is their 30th anniversary.
Yes, we will be involved with WCF, and we hope to do more things. Thank you.
Policies and make those changes that will bring revolutionary changes for women and everyone in this country for the next generation. So thank you for having me here.
New George's, an award-winning nonprofit theater company which produces ambitiously theatrical new plays downtown. Thank you for coming uptown, but she is downtown and provides an artistic home to some of the most adventurous theater artists who are women working today. She brought one of her artists with her who is producing a new play next month, which we're very excited about. And thank you for being here, Susan.
Thank you. It's such a thrill to be here. I am in the theater, but I come from a very political family, and so I feel very, very, very close to all of these issues, and they're things that I've been thinking about my whole life, so it's really exciting. But since I'm moonlighting a little bit, I wrote my speech down. In my theater, where we produce only plays by women, we sometimes get a little touchy about that, because it is the art first and the women second. So we like to say that we don't spend time talking about producing women, we just do it. Because we think that the best and the only way to demonstrate the viability of the work, like Emily's play, which I think you'll welcome to see, is to put it out there and let it speak for itself. And it's the same with women candidates and putting more women in government. I think that we have to see them out there and hear about the work they do day after day. We have to have more of them so there are more people representing us who understand our issues, will speak to our issues, and can continue to fight for our issues. Without seeing them out there every day, I don't know how we can think that there should be more, as we all think that there should be, and we know why. And I think that then it gradually becomes normalcy, and our issues will become everyone's issues, just that we hope at New George's that our plays will become everyone's plays. And so I'm incredibly proud to be here tonight and to support the Women's Campaign Forum. It's so thrilling, and it's so thrilling to see this much energy and support going towards this amazing attempt to improve these statistics, which are so disappointing, I think, and to be able to connect what we do and what so many of the other special guests do to the endeavor of making women part of our national conversation. So it's really thrilled to be here tonight. It's great to meet all these amazing people, and thank you so much for having me.
Everyone sign up for their mailing list so you can see all of the new productions. And next we have the amazing, talented, beautiful Barbara Walsh. You may have seen her in Company. You may have seen her in Hairspray. You may have seen her in Falsettos, which she won a Drama Desk Award for and was nominated for. No.
Tony nomination.
Tony nomination. Oh, Drama Desk Award winning show. Tony nomination.
No. It was a Tony winning show. I got a Tony nomination.
Tony nomination. Okay. It
Drama
says
Desk
drama
nomination.
Sorry.
Very
Okay.
impressive.
She's amazing anyway. She should have won. She was robbed.
Yeah.
Sorry about the
No
timing.
apologies. The risotto was divine.
you know, I am not in politics, but show business, there's a great deal of politics in it. So. And I'm going to sing a little song. You know, there comes a moment, hopefully, in everyone's lives, women in particular, what seems like a small moment, but it's actually a huge and profound moment, and that is one that follows a lot of heartache and loss and trial and error and success and failure and love and joy and everything and effort, really. And it's a place of complete and utter calm with oneself. And Melissa Manchester, of all people, wrote a song about that, I think, called Home to Myself, back in the 70s. And I think it's pretty relevant and timeless. I wake up and see the light of the day shining on me. Make my own time, it's mine to spend. Think to myself, my own best friend, it's not so bad all alone, coming home to myself again. Now I understand, whatever I feel is whoever I am, watching my life and how it's grown, looking on back to things I've known. It's not so bad all alone, coming home to myself again. It's not so bad to get lost in my tears and to laugh and to cry for the years gone by. My oh my, my oh my now. Somehow I know I've come a long way, I've got a long way to go, but something inside is making me strong, and in the bad times I'll get along, 'cause it's not so bad all alone, coming home to myself again. I'm coming home. You're welcome, my pleasure.
And this is my home, and I just want to welcome you all on behalf of the Women's Campaign Forum. Many of you have probably heard this before, but I got roped into this by my mentor and dear friend, and tonight honoree, Wendy McKenzie. Who 3 years ago, at the last minute, asked me to host one of these things, which actually was, showed Wendy's bravado and her tenacity, let's say. But of course, when Wendy asks you to do something, you absolutely do it. And I've been doing things with Wendy and for Wendy and around Wendy for a long time. And as all of you know, it's totally worth it. So I understand, unfortunately, I was unable to go to the reception earlier this evening, but I understand there's a brand new award that has been named in Wendy's name. I really can't imagine a better person to name it after. And she has been a mentor to me and to so many of us in this room. I mean, Lynn Quinn and I, started out as her mentees. And one of the great gifts she has given me is that she has inspired me to be a mentor to some young people. And I actually have 2 women that I'm working with right now in my current job who I wanted to bring to this event because I think it's so important to know older women who have made certain choices and have had certain journeys, and to share those journeys with younger people. And Wendy did that for me, and so I want to in turn do it for them. The very cool part of doing it for them is that I then learned that their mothers also do work that's related to the work that we're doing here tonight. So I was able to invite their mothers, who are my peers, to come to this event. So I'm so happy that they're here. But I'm really happy that all of you are here, and I thank you so much. And, you know, bear with us. This is not a restaurant. This is someone's home. I have 4 kids. You know, they'll probably show up in their underwear at some point. But, you know, we do the best we can. But we have a very exciting chef with us tonight. You'll learn a little more about what our dinner is going to be from the chef. But most importantly, we have 2 candidates who are running for office in next fall. So I'm going to take this moment to introduce them. We have a lot of women here who are involved in encouraging women to run for office, but we have 2 real live candidates in the room. So it is my pleasure to introduce Betsy Markey, who is a sitting congresswoman from, is it the High Plains of Colorado?
Colorado, right.
Okay, I don't know. And what I love is that Betsy was elected in 2008, and she trounced the 3-term Republican extremist incumbent, another woman, incumbent. I've never said that, in a year when McCain carried the district. So she really went against the tide. And no Democrat had won in this district since 1973. So that is really incredible. And her margin of victory was the largest for a Democrat challenging a Republican incumbent in 2008. So that is just amazing. But this year, she is a top target of the National Republican Congressional Committee. And her likely opponent has been named the Guardian of the Taxpayer and has been endorsed by the Concerned Women PAC, who denounced her for voting, in their words, for a bill that gave $103 million to international family planning organizations, in effect forcing the American taxpayer to indirectly promote and fund abortions abroad. I think this woman deserves a huge
Thank you so much. And you know, I got in this race 3 years ago, running against a very, very conservative woman who was very much anti-choice, anti-gay rights. She was the one who authored the amendment to Constitution to ban same-sex marriage. She now, interestingly enough, is head of an organization called the Susan B. Anthony List, they call themselves. And their whole purpose, she's the executive director, is try to defeat pro-choice women candidates. And so she's still around, but I'm not running against her. But I believed I could do, I saw what my opponent was doing in the district. At the time I was working for Ken Salazar, who was our senator in Colorado at the time, and I knew I could do a better job. But, you know, I didn't think, like so many women, I thought, oh, I'm not ready to run yet. And a couple of other women, Joan Fitzgerald, who I think is here, was the state senate president at the time. She said, Betsy, you ought to run. And I said, oh, I don't think I'm qualified. And she said, Betsy, you have run 2 businesses. You work for the State Department, the Treasury Department, traveling overseas. You know, you have been involved in government and business. You've run a nonprofit. You've raised 3 children. What do you think you're missing in your resume? And so it's so important, which is why I really applaud Women's Campaign Forum, to really know that there are other women who say, you can do it. And of course we can do it. So I ran very hard in, as you mentioned, a very tough Republican district. I only have 27% of my voters are Democrats, 27%. 40% are Republican, another 33% are independent. So I really have to get out my base, get out my independents, and get out my moderate pro-choice Republicans. And that's how you win in a district like mine. And I did win by 12 points in a district that John McCain won by 2 points. So this is a tough district, but we have to be very, very smart. We had a great field and ground campaign, which was awesome, and a wonderful staff that I had working. And then, of course, you have to have the resources so that you can compete and really just go back against the attacks that people lay against you. One of the most awful ones against me is that we had a woman-owned business, and after I left the firm, apparently it was still categorized as a woman-owned business when we were doing business with the government. So they came after me after that. There were ads of me behind bars. Betsy Markey's going to jail, and you know, and that's what we have to go up against. And it was absolutely, if they don't have anything, and my opponent really didn't have anything to get me on. I was pretty clean. It's my first time running for elected office. I ran as a small business owner. I am concerned about the deficit. I'm very progressive on social issues, but we really do need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to leave our economy a better place for our children. They couldn't find anything, so they just made it up. I remember my daughter, who was working on the campaign, she was with me earlier today. She's 24 and she lives here in New York City, living her dream. But she was working on the campaign, and the first time this awful ad came out saying I was going to jail, she was like, oh, Mom, how can they say things like that about you? But that's the way it is, and that's why it really is so important that you have the resources to come back. I mean, I tried to run a very positive campaign. This is who I am, but if I'm going to be attacked, you have to fight back with equal or greater force and then get back on your positive message again about what you can do for your district. So I appreciate your support. Again, you were one of the first organizations who supported me when I was a candidate who nobody thought could win. I was in a primary, but you came and said, yeah, you can do it, and we're going to support you, and we're going to give you some money. And that really meant so much to me.
Betsy?
Yes.
We are going to have to
Yes.
stop this now because you're going to get a chance to talk again later a little bit. But, and we are going to introduce the one other candidate, national candidate this year. The special guests will be moving from one table to another at dessert. So we're trying to get as many people as possible to your audience.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The story. I love those facts. It was absolutely wonderful. I've lost my bag. Oh, it's over there now. But I think I will. I remember when she first came to the Women's Campaign Forum, and we were fascinated by it. She was the only woman in it'll be a primary, basically, in a black district, a black Democratic district in Alabama. She has raised much more money than any one of her opponents. She has, if she were a man, she'd be so clearly the winner that you couldn't even worry about it. Terry Lett was born in Selma. She went north to go to Princeton, and so she's been surrounding me everywhere. And then she went to Harvard Law School, where she was in Obama's class. And then she went to, she thought she'd go to Oxford for a year, so she got a master's at Oxford. And then she came to Davis Polk in New York, where she was in the same class at Davis Polk as Kirsten Gillibrand. Oh. And Kirsten has been helping her along the way. She went back to Birmingham to look after her family, essentially, because her father was crippled. That was an old-fashioned word, forgive my age, disabled. And she has been working there and became the first black woman partner in a prominent firm. And she is the best thing I have met in a long time. And tell them something quickly about your race, and then we'll all be able to go on with the evening, but not too quick.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for those kind words, and Kathy for this beautiful house, and all of you for being here. I thought what I'd do is tell you a little bit about my district, why I'm running, and why you should care. I grew up in this district. I was born in Selma. This district is one of, as Wendy said, it's a majority-minority district. It is 68% black and 32% white. Unfortunately, the Justice Department in 1990 came in and forced Alabama to create at least one district where there would be a person of color in the delegation. The current congressman has decided to run for governor. So this is an open seat in my home district, and the #1 issue is the economy. This district is the 3rd poorest district in the nation, with average unemployment of 18.5%, median income for a family of 4, $29,000. It encompasses Birmingham, which is really the economic center for Alabama. It also encompasses Tuscaloosa, parts of Tuscaloosa, which includes the University of Alabama, Roll Tide. But it also includes 9 very rural counties, the center of which, the queen of which, is Selma, Alabama, my hometown, which is infamously known for the civil rights movement. But frankly, it is a city of 20,000 people now, where there's 20% unemployment, 1 in 5, no jobs, and it's unacceptable in America. It really is just unacceptable, and especially unacceptable when I can do something about it.
Did your father appreciate that?
Made it into
Lived another 6-7 years.
And was he very active?
Yeah.
And then
Very good for Just a shot.
Thank you. It does look like that. Did you say you were docent in that area? And I would
I get it. Okay. Someone in this room is running for the congressional district, which we are all in right now. And we know that we have a women's campaign form member or election member. But isn't it refreshing that even though we have already an elected female congresswoman, the person who is running against her in primary is also a woman. So we can feel assured that our issues are going to be protected no matter what. And we know it's a tough year in Washington, D.C. right now. Incumbents are under siege. It is not a good year to be an incumbent, a Democrat. But we have someone here, Rashma Sujani, who is running for Congress. So I wanted to introduce Rashma.
And from some of the local high schools. And one of the things I wanted to leave with them is, you know, you should never ever tell anybody that they can't or shouldn't do something. And in this race, I've had people say to me, well, why don't you run for city, why don't you run for city council or state assembly? Why are you running for Congress? And I always look at them and say, don't ever, ever tell your girls not to shoot high and not to aim high and tell them to not really achieve their dreams. That's not what this country is all about. So I'm happy to be here today. I hope all of you learn a little bit more about my race, www.rushma2010.com. Thank you.
Coming back to the program now, I would just like to thank Kathy for and Kayla and Christine, our co-hosts, and the wonderful chefs at Nobu who may come up here at some point so we can applaud their work tonight. And also, while we're slightly off the program, I'll just say that my friend Joyce Johnson here is also contemplating a run for Congress. Against a gentleman who's been in Congress for a very long time, by the name of Charlie Rangel, and she's a very brave woman, so you may like to talk to her before. I'm going to introduce one of our WCF endorsed candidates, Mary Glassman, who is running for governor in Connecticut. And we often talk a lot about how we have 17% women in the Senate and Congress. And I realized yesterday that we have 12% women governors. There are 6 in the entire country. 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans, and 2 of them are actually retiring. So hopefully we will have one more. I have the pleasure of sitting here next to her husband, who told me that she's running against 9 men who are all self-financing. So if anybody here has any money left here tonight, they were in 2006. And she currently serves as first selectman in Simsbury, Connecticut. During her career, she has a very interesting background. She's been a newspaper journalist, an attorney in private practice, special counsel to the Connecticut Speaker of the House, counsel to the Connecticut Senate President, chief of staff to the Connecticut Lieutenant Governor, and director of legislative affairs at a nonprofit. So please welcome, hopefully, the next governor of Connecticut.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be the endorsed candidate. I'm honored that you opened up your home for us this evening. I'm very grateful. I want to echo the theme that I heard earlier about opportunity. I am the daughter of a woman who grew up in foster care. When I was 4, I'm one of 4 children. When I was 4, and my brothers were 2, 5, and 6, my dad died very suddenly, and my mother raised the 4 of us. We grew up under very difficult circumstances. No one in my family had ever gone to college, and I was the first woman in our family to go to college. I was able to do that because of opportunities, because I was able to work hard and pay for the University of Connecticut, where I went to school, became a journalist, moved back to the city I grew up in, was a reporter, and then for $500 a semester, I went to the University of Connecticut Law School, and was able to get a law degree, where I met my husband, Andy, who is a wonderful supporter of mine. And we have 3 children, our daughter will graduate from Yale University in May. And some of Yale's here. I know, I've met someone around. But when I think about the power of opportunity, the fact that my mom is going to be at graduation, raised in foster care, watching her daughter graduate from Yale University, shows you the power of education and the power of opportunity. So 8 weeks ago, I was trying to decide what candidate I was going to support for governor. Looked at the 9 candidates in the race. 8 of them are millionaires. All of them are from Greenwich or Stanford. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Stanford is nice. But I decided there really wasn't anybody who was a voice for people who don't have a voice. I've always worked hard. I've always been a believer in education. No one was talking about education. No one was talking about kids in foster care. No one was talking about Connecticut, the wealthiest state in the nation, has the poorest kids living in the city of Hartford of anywhere in the country.
Yeah, I believe that.
No one was talking about that. And so when I was deciding to run for office and jumping in the race, and my husband said, "You're the best candidate, get in," and we thank God for supportive spouses. I talked to a few, I talked to a few of my political advisors, and some of them were really encouraging, and some of them said, "Mary, run for Secretary of State. It's a lot less money to raise, and are you viable?" And I decided the word I hate most in the United States is viable. I think we should get rid of it from the dictionary. So I entered the race because the one thing that my husband's learned is don't ever tell me I can't do something because I will want to do it really bad. And so 8 weeks ago I entered the race. I almost didn't enter the race because I have to qualify for public financing. I have to raise $250,000 in $100 increments. So I have to find 2,500 people to give me $100. I've already found 1,300 people to give me $100. So I'm halfway there.
13 and 2.
1302. I just got 2 checks right here. But I almost 3. Do I hear 4?
What table can do more?
But, what's incredible is a couple of the men in the race. There's 2 candidates who are public financing. One is a male who's been in the race over a year. One is me. No one asked him if he was viable. No one asked if he was viable. But that's the question I get. Are you viable? So this week I declared that I have raised $110,000. I'm almost halfway there. The guy who's running against me, he has less money than I do. And no one's asking that. So, some days when I'm locked in the closet because my campaign people tell me, get on the phone and call for money, it's really hard. Am I doing the right thing? Am I in this race? Can I do it? Am I viable? And that's when I got a call from the Women's Campaign Forum. And it's really incredible because without opportunity, I couldn't be here. And I couldn't run for office. And I heard incredible stories from women tonight in the room, women who grew up in foster care, women who almost didn't run for office. And I can tell you, you guys make a difference. So thank you for the opportunity.
It's Lancaster County.
I'm a big fan of team up. You can make history and you can make it happen.
Oh no, he's giving me my BlackBerry.
How are we doing?
The real liberal feminist in the room, though, that supports women and me and all the efforts that I do is my husband, Dave Sadolsky. So thank you for joining us. I just want to give a little brief intro of how I met my friend Sam Bennett here. I'm a political consultant, and
I do a lot of the Democratic congressional campaign events. And in the 2 cycles ago in 08, we chose our group in New York to support 5 women candidates, women in the House. And I had a host committee that just is dynamic, and they stood on their head because they wanted to support this lady.
Yes.
Yvonne Bennett ran in Allentown, Pennsylvania, okay, against an old boys club, real conservative community. She raised over $1 million. Okay, there was no better candidate. All of you, could take some lessons from her. We brought her into New York. She was up on that stage, and what a dynamo. I finally had to pull her off with a cane because she was so amazing. Unfortunately, she did not win the seat, but with all of our luck, she was recruited, and smartly so, by the women from the Women's Campaign Forum. And I found that there's no better person who could possibly really take this organization to the next level nationally. And the reason I'm here, and I know my friend Renee Birnbaum was also, recruited to be here with Sam Bennett, and we're just absolutely thrilled, and we would love you to give us the whole thrust of what you're doing and working on and how we can help support.
Oh, thank you. First things first, I think first we have to give a round of applause to Marcia and my dear friend Patty Kenner. Very few people work as hard to help candidates, particularly women candidates in New York. So please, a round of applause for Marcia. And I asked this lovely lady to stand here in front of me because we both lost. All right. This is Joan Fitzgerald. She ran an amazing race in Colorado, raised more money than any of us, and was an absolutely outstanding candidate. What I'm thrilled about is the whole class, our class of 2008, there's a number of us that are now running national organizations in Washington. Joan is running America Votes. If you give her a round of applause. Also, Darcy Berner is running the Progressive Caucus, which is just her. She's an amazing young woman. She is at another party. You didn't get a chance to meet her. So our hope is Joan and Darcy and I and the others of us that lost but still want to be engaged in making a difference in this country, we're really looking forward to turning D.C. upside down.
There you go.
Also, I want to acknowledge the amazing Celinda Lake.
Oh,
Celinda Lake used to be the political director for Women's Campaign years ago.
That's right.
And very briefly held my role. So, Celinda, thank you for all of your support. You're just amazing. And then, of course, we have the highest ranking woman in the union movement here. So if for any reason, we don't want this to happen, the president, something happens, we have a woman who's the head of AFL-CIO. And I have to say, she's pretty damn good on a ladder. What do you know?
Second career, maybe?
That's right. And then maybe, in my opinion, we have 2 very, very important women that are here. First, Congresswoman Giffords. I can tell you firsthand how hard it is to get elected. The only time that you're really the most vulnerable is that sort of first re-elect period. And so you really do have to work overtime to support the wonderful women I introduced you to, Betsy Markey, Ann Kirkpatrick, there's others, and Congresswoman Giffords. I'm very serious about that because we're already ranked 84th in the world. Congress is only 17%. We have so many frontline women that are running right now who are in their first re-elect. We're in real trouble if we lose any of them. So please, a round of applause for And then also, we have the brave woman who's running against Joe Pitts of Stupak Pitts. Very briefly about Lois. When I made a decision to stand up, darling, come over here. When I made the decision to run for U.S. Congress, and the brief story is this: I was the party leader, the first female elected party leader in my neck of the woods, and working very close with my union brothers and sisters, we had basically turned our district from being a pretty solidly Republican performing district to a pretty solidly Democratic performing district. I always saw myself as the gal behind the curtain, making things happen, but I couldn't get anybody to run against this Republican. Couldn't get anybody to run against them. They were all afraid. So I said, all right, I'm going to run, okay? And nobody believed me. And I was at a state committee meeting, and there was this lovely woman, Lois Hurd. I started chatting her up, and she said, oh, well, if you're running for Congress, let me give you some help. And this woman dropped everything and helped me set up my campaign. This woman represents the reason why we need more women in government. Lois Herr, please give her a round of applause. And I ran for Congress, ended up getting 40 national endorsements and raising $1 million. And I think that's important about the $1 million. It's not only is it significantly more than any Democrats ever raised, and in-district Democrats ever raised, maybe most importantly, that was done without bundling. It was calling people and asking them to raise, give me money. And really the big players in my race that really got my race going were my union brothers and sisters who all double maxed to me before my primary was over. Wow. And that's how I gained the legitimacy that I need to get the race going. So Liz, on behalf of the union movement, I just want to say thank you for the faith that you guys have in my race. So I know you guys are ready to eat some food and drink some more incredible things, but let me say this briefly about why we're all here tonight. When I ran for U.S. Congress, I was the most surprised person in the world to find out that we were ranked 84th in the world. And to find out that U.S. Congress, arguably the most powerful legislative body in the world, is only 17% women.
Important, and the only way we can have public servants do this as women, particularly since we are so woefully behind, is indeed to have women candidates and for us to dig into our wallets. I believe in the power of the purse. I believe this is incredibly important, and so I have no trouble standing up here and comparing when candidates like this are like to my, to the gems, my pearls of wisdom that I'm trying to get into, into around your neck, and the gems that I work with. So I'm happy to talk to all of you, but I don't really want to listen to me. I really want to listen to those of you who continue to support this most important endeavor. So thank you, and thank you for inviting me.
And our main course should be served momentarily. So enjoy in the meantime.
We're just going to be photographing and
Yeah, pay no attention to the camera.
For DAs, and I'm trying to think of ads. You know how you're trying to think of somebody's ads last name, but they were like you and your, they were best friends, and they like followed each other.
with Calder, we used to sell his block for $35 and we would get a big pot.
Huh? I don't want to get too many holes like empty tables.
Okay, okay.
I'm going to pull a few people in the room. Once you see the video, I'll put people
Great. Place.
Tell that to Jeff. He doesn't think so.
No more private school tuition.
Oh, well, now that sounds good.
You may want that, yeah. So, yeah, we talked about it. She will be arriving with a staff. She's traveling across the street.
Would you be kind enough to not let us introduce anybody who's not here?
Yes, I will. No problem.
So just, I'm running.
Okay.
You'll let me know.
She will be arriving. Yep. She should be arriving at.
Okay, hi. Thank you for coming. We have almost 60 people here tonight. It's really great. How many of you have never been to a women's campaign forum, parties of your choice? Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Well, so I got 18 years on it. All right. My name's Harry Shear, and I get to go to these because my wife's on the board. It's just that simple. And thank you all for coming. Thank you to our wonderful co-hosts, Susan, Norma, Greg Rosenbaum and his lovely wife. My wife, Cynthia, right there. Stand up. She is standing. So here's how we're going to do this. We have, and we're lucky to have, a number of special guests, celebrity guests, whatever, however.
What brings you here tonight? Well, I am so excited to be a WCF endorsed candidate, and this is a wonderful opportunity to get to meet so many people outside the state of Tennessee that care about promoting women and seeing women elected to public office.
Now, once you win office, you will make history.
That's right. That's right. We've never had a woman governor in the state of Tennessee, so I will be the first, and I'm excited about that. But you know, I'm not running just to make history. I'm running because I think I'm the best candidate to make good things happen for Tennesseans.
And I'm sure people in Tennessee will be very, very glad and proud.
Thank you.
And what brings you here tonight, other than being endorsed as a candidate? Is this your first WCF?
It is. This is my first WCF event. I was just recently endorsed by the organization, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity to get to meet so many people who are really trying to promote women in elective office all across the country. And so I think it's a great opportunity.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
So tell me, what brings you here this evening?
Well, the Women's Campaign Forum was so gracious to endorse my candidacy. I'm running to be the first woman elected to Congress from Alabama, black or white. And we are into the last 2.5 months of our race, and we've really been able to distinguish ourselves as one of the front runners. And it's mostly been because of the help of women helping other women. And I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for, women candidates and women encouragement. And so I'm just honored to be here tonight in order to just celebrate womanhood and, more importantly, girl power.
Is this your first WCF event?
It is my first WCF event, and it won't be my last.
What part of Alabama?
I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. And this district includes Birmingham, where I live and work, but also Selma, Alabama, which is my hometown. So this is my home district. I grew up in the rural part of this district. I'm privileged to work and live in the urban part of the district now, but this whole district is my home, and no one can advocate on behalf of my home better than me. I mean, no
number one issue in this district is job creation. I guess it's everywhere. This is the third poorest district in the nation, and we're just not gonna be able to move forward until this economy turns around. We didn't prosper when times were good, and we're really suffering when times are bad. And I practice the kind of law that I practice is economic development law. So why would I not want to take my experience and my personal interest and background to Washington on behalf of my home district? And people have been really responding to that message, and this campaign has been doing great.
Well, that's wonderful. I wish you luck, and you've already claimed it. Claim the victory.
Thank you very much.
So, Joycelyn, what brings you here?
I'm running for Secretary of State in Michigan as a Democrat, and we're running to ensure that Michigan's elections are fair, and that the election law is enforced uniformly, and that redistricting is protected so that we don't have unfair partisan gerrymandering going on in our state.
So is this your first WCF event?
Yes, it is. I'm proud and I'm very thankful to be an endorsed candidate by WCF. And actually, I'd be the youngest female Secretary of State in our country's history if we win in the fall. So we're very, very fortunate that WCF has recognized our potential and has stepped in to support our candidate.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The WCF, how is that helping you in your campaign?
Well, it means a great deal to have an organization like that, which encourages women candidates to be behind a real candidate. They are willing to get behind us. They introduce us to people. It's just a wonderful thing to have their endorsement.
Now, the campaign that you're running right now is very historic.
Yes, I'm running against Joe Pitts, and there's another candidate running against Bart Stupak. So we are teaming up. We're going to defeat the two people who put in the Stupak-Pitts amendment to the health care bill.
Now, how is the WCF helping in that regard?
How are they helping me? Well, they're helping me by having this party. I mean, 700 people in a room. I mean, I wish it would have lasted 5 hours. And besides, it's nice to go to a small party like this, too. Because I worked and lived in New York for years. As a matter of fact, just 3 blocks from here, 20 West 90th Street.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tell me a little bit about Gabrielle Giffords. Where are you running?
Well, I'm a third-generation Southern Arizona, and I have one of 10 U.S.-Mexico border districts. I am a Democrat, been elected to Congress since 2006, and serve on the House Armed Services Committee.
Now, how is the WCF helping your campaign? What does it mean to you?
The Women's Campaign Forum helped get me to Congress in 2006, and as a pro-choice woman who represents a district that is not made up of the majority of her party, what they did is really helped with funding, helped with messaging, and helped give me the confidence that I needed to run in a seat that was previously held by a predecessor of a different party for 22 years.
Now, had you run before?
I was serving as a state senator, the youngest woman ever elected to the state senate in Arizona, and before that I was a state representative.
Any advice?
Well, when women run, women win. We need to get more women to run for political office. And the reality is, when you look at the United States Congress, there is not very much diversity. We need to make sure our United States Congress truly represents America. And that means more women running for office. And even if you don't win your first election, you gotta pick yourself up and run again. Men do that. But women lose one time and they pack their stuff up and they go home. And we really got to get women out there and be much more aggressive and more self-confident.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Cheryl, WCF, what does that mean for you?
Well, it means opportunity for women in government. This is my first opportunity to come to this event, and I'm actually thinking about a future in government. Maybe not right now. I'm an elected officer of my local, at IBEW Local 1212. I'm an executive board member, elected my 5th term last June, got more votes than anybody else. My first time elected to the International Convention as a delegate. Been with the local 32 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, one of the themes that we heard tonight over and over again is that women should run.
Yes.
And women should nominate other women to run. Talk to those women. Have you been talked to about running for office?
Actually, just this evening, my president of my local said, "Why don't you run?" And he actually wanted me to run when we were both at the Electrical Workers Minority Caucus Convention this past January in Portland, Oregon. I chose not to run. I do a lot for the organization. Didn't want to put too much on my plate right now, but I am considering that, as well as possibly a future in government office. You just never know.
And I'm more than excited.
Now, you're running for office.
I am.
Tell me where.
I'm running for U.S. House of Representatives in Florida's 7th Congressional District, which runs from Jacksonville to Orlando.
You have stiff competition?
I am running against an 18-year incumbent.
How is the WCF helping you?
You know, the best thing that the WCF has done, I think, for not only my race, but for the other 13 women who are here tonight all over New York that have been endorsed by WCF, is this early boost in the arm, this early shot in the arm of belief and positiveness and expertise and technical assistance. They seem to, for every single endorsed candidate that I've talked to, they seem to come in right at the very moment when you are not sure you've made the right decision. And they sense that, and they swoop in and they say, yes, you have. And we can get you there. We can get you from here to there, from dream to reality. And I think that's the biggest gift they give. And I can't imagine they do it on purpose, but somehow it works that way.
Now, this is your first race?
It is.
How did you get into the race? Did someone tap you on the shoulder?
Well, I serve 5,000 students all throughout the state of Florida with my nonprofit that everybody else has given up on. And I decided that it's great to be the CEO of a nonprofit, and it's great to be able to go around and talk to students and say, you can do it, you can live a different life, you can make decisions, you can have your own destiny. No matter what your circumstances are, you can do it. And I watched day in and day out both the state of Florida and Washington turn their back on my students, and everything I was trying to teach them was being disproved at a very high level, and I refused to tolerate it.
This particular event tonight, how does this impress you? The impression that this makes on you?
You know, it's such a clever idea to have a big joint reception where you can meet people from all over, and then have a more intimate setting where you can really get to know people one-on-one and build a team of champions, even if they're not anywhere near your district. These people, I think, will forever be my team of champions. And it's both an excellent high-profile event and intimate at the same time, and that's rare. That's rare, and it's definitely campaign building.
Advice to anyone else thinking about doing it?
You have no right not to. This is your country, and this is the exact wrong time to give up.
That is a very strong statement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joan, give me a little background on you and the reason that you're here at a WCF event.
My background is that I am a philanthropist, and 6 years ago I started a business where I give 100% of my profit on each piece of jewelry I sell to the charity of the Purchaser's Choice. And I'm here because I believe in the judgment and the wisdom of women. And I believe that that you have to put your money behind that as well. There are some people who do public service, but women are able to multitask. Women will work fearlessly to go into hard situations to make it better for the people they love today and the people of the future. And so I think this is, without question, one of the most important things to do is to help people who are willing to do public service.
When you think about the candidates that are running and all of the women, were you at the event earlier?
I wasn't able to be at the event.
There were a lot of women that were there that were standing up on the podium as candidates for all kinds of office, federal and local and whatever. Do you have any aspirations in terms of government? Or if you do not, what would you say to someone that was?
I would say to someone that runs, be strong, be true to yourself, have very specific goals about what you want to communicate. I think that it's important to be
concise. I think it's important to be directed, and I think it's important to be able to get a message out that people can remember. But I have no aspirations to run myself. I'm not really that generous. I'm much more generous with my money than I am with public service issues. Yes, with my time.
All right. Well, thank you. Barbara Ann, what district are you campaigning in?
I am the Democratic nominee for Texas Attorney General. Thanks very much.
Texas is a big state so far as politics are concerned. How did you get started?
Texas is a huge state for politics, and I got my start with my first endorsement from the Women's Campaign Fund. It was the first endorsement I sought and the first endorsement I received. It was a strategic move, and it paid off extremely well for me.
How did you hear about the WCF so far as seeking them out like that?
We were looking for an organization that was bipartisan that would aid me both in my U.S. Senate race and then in 2009 that would give me the strategic advantage to win the primary by getting in quite early. And it worked, and it saved me, we figure, about $1.5 million by getting that endorsement, because I used it to really promote the women's issues in my race, and in a ladylike way most about the competition, so that I was not opposed in the primary.
Now, New York is a long way from your state.
Yes, sir.
Why here? What is the significance of an event here in New York City?
Well, the event in New York City has had wonderful effects. As a very practical matter, first, it allowed me to meet a number of very willing donors, already very receptive to the notion of a woman running for office. Secondly, it allowed me to come and thank the Women's Campaign Fund for all they've done for me. It has been an extraordinary bit of help, and as I say, it was the first endorsement I sought and the first endorsement I received, and I used it mightily in the last 10 months, and it is the reason I believe I ended up unopposed in the Democratic primary for Attorney General. And the third reason that I'm here in New York City, instead of campaigning in Texas, is that it was a significant enough endorsement that I needed to be here just to say thank you, quite frankly. It's been a wonderful evening, and it has led, let me say, to some meetings tomorrow that I never would have been able to receive. So thank you, New York. Thank you, Women's Campaign Fund.
And thank you.
Thanks very much.
Elaine Marshall.
Right.
You're here in New York City. Why?
I'm here in New York City to soak up the energy of all these exciting people who are interested in women running for office. It's very emotionally uplifting for me to meet women who are interested in somebody that they don't even know North Carolina, but they're interested in the success of women. That's something I've worked on a whole lifetime, training women, encouraging women to run. And when I became Secretary of State, I was the first woman elected to executive statewide office. Some would call me a trailblazer, some would call me a mentor, but I'm just happy for whatever you want to call me, but please support other women as they run for office, encourage them, get them to think about it, and then advocate for them, because not everybody's willing to embrace a woman candidate right off the bat. So it takes a lot of other folks, women, men, other folks, to validate that campaign, so give them the support they need.
During your first campaign for elected office, did you know anything about WCF?
My first campaign for elected office was for the North Carolina Senate, and I did not. We did not have any women's organization that supported other women per se. Since then, in North Carolina, we've started something called Lillian's List, and of course now I've been aware of the Women's Campaign Forum.
What advice would you give to someone, a woman that's running for office today?
Don't worry, is it right? Make it right. A lot of women think it's not the right time. You can spend your whole life waiting and thinking, what if, you coulda, shoulda. Just jump in and do it. If you got the passion in your belly, go ahead and do it. We wait till we're perfectly prepared. There is no perfectly prepared candidate. We've got to take us where we are and the ideas that we have, and just move forward. Act upon those better instincts and move forward.
I've heard a reoccurring theme, and that is, is there anyone, let me rephrase this, is there anyone that you know of right now that you would tap on the shoulder and say you ought to run for?
Oh, there are plenty of women in North Carolina that I believe ought to consider themselves as office holders, and they ought to begin right now running for office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, just give me an idea of the what you're serving tonight at Miss Taylor's party.
Well, we're pleased to have caterer extraordinaire Norma Jean Darden tonight, and she's got some delightful treats. Starting out with a tomato corn chowder in shot glasses, a wonderful field green salad with pomelo citrus vinaigrette. We've got grilled herb salmon, braised short ribs of beef. She's got a rice pilaf, sweet potato souffle, and of course, no party would be a party without collard greens, her signature dish. For dessert, we've got a peach raspberry cobbler in season with whipped cream and mint. And later on, they're going to be upstairs at Susan Taylor's apartment for a little dessert treat. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So tell me, you're hosting this tonight. What is the event?
The event is, every year for the last 30 years, the WCF hosts what is called the choice of different dinner parties, where there are up to, I think, 15 different dinner parties simultaneously happening around Manhattan, where different people sign up for the one that you think is most interesting based on who the special guests are or what the venue is. And this is, I think, my 4th or 5th year hosting this event. And it's, sorry. No, it's just a very special cause, and I think that it's a very exciting event to get all these different women from all these different, political orientations and business. I'm sorry, you're gonna edit this, right? That all gather for the single purpose of helping women get elected in this country and supporting pro-choice values, which are really, at this point, under such severe attack, both from the Democrats and the Republicans, which is pretty shocking.
So what made you get involved?
My sister-in-law actually was involved with the organization, and about 5 years ago she asked me would I be willing to host a dinner party in support of it. And I've always been very interested in politics, been involved with different political campaigns and different senatorial campaigns, and it was sort of a natural extension of my sort of political interest, supporting women, supporting pro-choice candidates. So that's why.
And this is your 4th year?
4th or 5th year. It's starting to get a little fuzzy after, the numbers start adding up.
But this always seems like the hot party. Everybody's at this party. This is like party number one,
I don't know. We've had very good guests. So, we had Martha Stewart one year right after she got out of jail. You probably don't want to use that. We had Kathleen Turner last year. We had Donnie Deutsch one year. So we've had interesting guests. And it's interesting, this year we don't really have a quote-unquote celebrity guest, but we still had a lot of demand for a party, which I guess speaks to the strength of the organization. And I think people love, everybody's voyeuristic, so they want to come into the house. They thought like, a brownstone should be interesting, a little different way of living in New York.
And they love the host.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't know about that, but...
Yeah, the host. That's what makes the party.
Yeah, thank you.
Always the host.
That's true.
Making people feel comfortable.
Thank you, yes.
What brings you here this evening?
To support the Women's Campaign Fund. They've launched at least 1,000 campaigns to move women into government, and I'm here to applaud them and support them.
So, of course, we started.
Okay.
Just finish telling me what Women's Campaign.
What Women's Campaign Forum means to me? Women's Campaign Forum is actually, again, it's how I got my start doing, working to support women, doing fundraising, to support women. It's how I started my business. I started my business in New York City over 10 years ago, and it was based on a lot of the philosophies and the passion that I got from working for WCF over 15 years ago. And I'm very excited to be working with them on their annual dinners. We have 13 of them tonight. We have over 700 people traveling all over to the city from Soho to Harlem, Upper East Side, Upper West Side, enjoying different dinners in fabulous homes and places with different chefs, and it's very exciting. And it's all to support women candidates, and that's really what we're here tonight. To hear from the women candidates, hear what WCF has done for them, understand what the role of women in government is and what it can be, and what we need to be doing more.
Okay, so what brings you here tonight? Bruce?
Blakeman. Yes, well, I'm a candidate for the United States Senate, and I'm actually running against a woman, but I do support women in government. And as I told the women here tonight, even though I am trying to take the place of a woman in the United States Senate, that I am very much in touch with my feminine side, and that I understand the importance of having women participate in politics and government. And I'm happy to support this organization. I think they do a terrific job. And this has been a very, very interesting and pleasant evening.
So what's this?
The United States Senate.
Oh, okay. All right.
We're going to get Senator Joe Brown.
So is there anything else you'd like to say? Is this your first event for the Women's Campaign Forum?
No, I've been at the Women's Campaign Forum on a couple of other occasions. And like I said, it's a great group. I think we do need more women in government. And I think we need a little more participation. And I'm very happy to be here tonight with some very bright, articulate, and important women. And I am very much looking forward to the campaign trail and having a successful election.
Well, you'll be successful.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
I'm here because it's extremely important that we have a variety of ideas, that we have a diversity of viewpoints represented in our government, and women bring a particular difference, particular viewpoint, their own experiences to state government, to federal government, to the executive branches, to any field of endeavor, and that's what we need to encourage across all spectrums. We need to have women involved, we need to have different viewpoints involved, we need to have minority candidates involved, we need to have immigrants involved. This nation is made up of an amazing mosaic of diversity, and everyone has to be represented in that, which is why I'm here to support this.
Well, is this your first WCF event?
It is. This is in fact my first event. I'm incredibly impressed with what they've done, with the progress that has been made. Obviously there's a lot that still needs to be done, but this is obviously a nice start.
Well, that's wonderful. Paul?
Niehaus, that's correct.
And what organization?
I'm not necessarily affiliated with any particular organization. I am here as a guest of the hostess. I am actually here as well because I am running for state assembly in New York State. I'm running in the 73rd Assembly District, and from my particular viewpoint, it's to bring, again, an independent voice, a different viewpoint to Manhattan. There are not enough independent voices here, and that's what I want to be for the citizens of Manhattan. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So what brings you here tonight?
What's bringing me here tonight is women in elected office. It is very important that we elect more women to office.
So are you an elected official or?
I am a community activist. I am the head of the National Dominican Women's Caucus. I also participate in the National Organization for Women and many other organizations will make sure that women, women who are progressive, who are pro-choice, we can represent them. I mean, this is vital, especially this time where we hear in every sphere in government, especially in New York. Every day we get up, we wake up in the morning, more news about bad news of how men are doing. We need integrity and ethics in politics. And I feel that women are the ones who are going to bring integrity and ethics to politics.
Is this your first WCF event?
No, I went to several of them. Very proud of that.
Okay, so what makes this different from the others?
What makes this different from the other is that I think that we're more conscious of what we need to do. And because I was in DC, I worked in Washington for the National Organization for Women for several years. I'm a native New Yorker, via Dominican Republic. Therefore, I feel that this year is very important. We have the census, we have reapportioning of seats and district. Therefore, we have an opportunity here to do more work and identify those women who can do the work. It's up to us to make the change we need to implement.
Thank you so much.